Hey guys, Angus here. Got a rather highly anticipated airsoft gun review for you guys today. Quite a few people have requested that I review this gun. The gun we're going to be taking a look at today is the CyberGun licensed Kalashnikov AK47 Beta Spets AEG. Now if you're interested in purchasing this gun, there'll be a link down below in the description to airsoftstation.com where you can buy this product for about $145. This is a pretty cool little weapon, great for beginners, so let's go ahead, hop straight to this review. Alright, now seeing as how I purchased this gun second-handed, I really don't have any of the original packaging for it. So let's go ahead, hop straight into this review, talk about the gun's external quality. Now as you can tell by the size and look of the Beta Spets AK, this is definitely a gun more so designed for a CQB or urban style game, and its external construction reflects that. It's a very light, very maneuverable gun. The reason it's so light is because a lot of it is composed of a plastic component. Some people might not like that, but hey, in this case, it really does work to your advantage, meaning that it makes the gun a lot lighter, a lot more maneuverable, easy to shoot around corners in a CQB style game. The lower receiver of the gun is composed of plastic, as is your handguard, magazine, pistol grip, and buttstock. The magazine is definitely the cheapest piece of plastic on the gun. I could definitely see if you drop this from a significant height, it probably would crack. However, the handguard, pistol grip, and stock are very nice. They're coated with a sort of rubber texture. Therefore, you can really grip onto them. Your hands grip tight. Nothing's going to be sliding around on it, especially on the stock. If, say, you're sweating in a game, hot summer game, you got your cheek on the stock, it's not going to be sliding anywhere. It really does grip on there rather well. So you get a nice solid grip on this gun, even with its plastic rubber pieces. Metal pieces externally do include your outer barrel, front and rear sights, top cover, bolt, and fire selector switch, as well as all the screws that hold the gun together. Nothing cheap there. So you get a good mixture of metal and plastic. Overall, the plastic lower receiver really does help make the gun a lot lighter and a lot more maneuverable. Pretty nice external construction. Externally, the gun also has a rather nice bright white Kalashnikov trademark located on the left side of its lower receiver. It's bright and flashy, however I've known these CyberGun trades before, and after some serious playing with this gun, that may fade off. Internals wise, the gun is also built rather soundly. Being an AK, it utilizes a version 3 metal gearbox with of course metal gears. CyberGun simply rebrands another company's product, therefore more likely the internals on this gun would be either from a JG or a CYMA. Either way, they're solid internals and they are clones, so you can go ahead and upgrade this if it really doesn't suit you right out of the box. Time to talk about this gun's battery space, and hey, lucky we got a full stock to house the battery on the Beta Spets. Unfortunately, this is a gun that I actually wish its battery is stored in its top cover like some other AKs. I'll explain in a second, but in order to access your battery compartment, you simply want to go ahead, push down on the butt plate like so, and remove it. When you've done this, you'll reveal your hollow full stock where your battery should be stored. Now, battery space in this gun is actually quite limited. There's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, the wires inside this thing are huge, and they're also very fragile. The reason you guys haven't seen the video on this when it should have been posted after the chrono video is simply because the wires are so fragile that it actually ripped them apart trying to put the battery in the gun. So be careful with those. They're rather fragile on this gun, and I really do want to stress that. Be careful with them. Also, inside of the stock has two foam inserts really glued to the sides of the stock. What this is there for is to prevent the battery from rattling when inside of it, but unfortunately it also takes up a lot of battery space, making this thing really only able to house the included 8.4 volt 1100 milliamp small battery. You could probably sneak a 7.4 volt LiPo in there as well, but overall, being a full stock, this thing really disappoints when it comes to battery space. Luckily though, what the gun lacks in battery space, it does make up in magazine capacity. In order to eject your included 550 round high capacity AK style magazine, you simply want to push in on the mag release. At that point, the magazine will come out when you apply a little bit of pressure. As I stated earlier, the included magazine is plastic, kind of a cheapy plastic, like I said, try not to drop it, and it works like a standard high cap. You'd load the reservoir up top through the large chamber, BBs would feed through the top, and you'd wind it at the bottom. It does have a small port for a butterfly winding key located on its right side though, so just in case you didn't want to wind the gear at the bottom. I didn't have any feeding issues with this magazine. It fed rather well inside the gun. The only thing is, typical of AK mags, you really do have to wind it quite a bit to get that first initial wave of BBs up inside the chamber to be fed. Otherwise though, pretty solid mag. In order to put it in, like any AK, take the front lip, put it in first, and then slide it into place. The Beta Spets' fire selector switch is your standard AK style selector. When the piece is pushed all the way to the top setting, the gun is on safe. The trigger cannot be pulled and the gun will not fire. If you were to, flip the switch down like so to the middle setting, the gun would now be on full auto. This gun has a pretty decent rate of fire on full auto. If you were to flip the selector switch finally down to the bottom setting, the gun will now be on semi-auto. The gun will fire 1 BB each time the trigger is squeezed. Overall, the selector is rather secure. It didn't get loose like some of the other AKs I've owned, so overall, pretty nice selector here. The gun's iron sights are actually pretty nice. They're standard style. The gun's iron sights are actually pretty nice. They're a little bit different than your typical AK style, and both sights are adjustable. Your front is simply a half circle with a small sight post in the middle. However, you can use an included front sight post adjustment tool in order to adjust, of course, the size of the front sight post. Now, your rear sight, that has 2 apertures. As you can see, you have a slightly smaller slit on this first aperture, and if I were to flip the aperture up like so, it would be a slightly bigger aperture. Really, there isn't that much of a difference, but it is there. Overall, the sights on this gun are actually pretty good, and hey, they're kind of what you're stuck with, being that this gun lacks a necessary side mount, so you can't put a scope mount on this thing. So without the ability to add a scope mount, there really is even less customization options for the Beta Spets. Luckily for you guys though, built into the bottom of the rubber handguard, there is a rather nice rubber 20mm rail. You can mount, say, a laser or a flashlight on this, as well as a foregrip, probably the most practical choice. Otherwise, it's too short to really house anything else. Can't put a grenade launcher down there, and really, why would you put a PEC box? There's no point to that at all. But you do get that small bit of customization, which is always nice. In order to access the gun's hop-up unit, simply pull back on the weapon's charging handle like so. When you pull it back, you will reveal your hop-up. It's not a gear, it's a standard push style. You'd simply push it more towards the shooter for more hop, or towards the front of the gun for less hop. Overall, the hop-up unit on this gun isn't bad. It's typical of this type of AK. And when you release the gun's charging handle, it makes a somewhat decent clank. Alright, so we've gone ahead and covered all the features on the Beta Spets. Let's go ahead and hop into the final conclusion of this review. First thing I want to say here, who is this gun made for? Really, this is a beginner's gun. If you're anything beyond a beginner, I honestly wouldn't recommend it. This is really something to get your feel. If you want a nice AK, don't want to spend a lot of money, want to see if you like the feel of the AK, the Beta Spets is definitely a cool gun. My personal opinion, with a foregrip on that rail, this is a very comfortable gun. I could see it being excellent for CQB or an urban style game. Woodland, perhaps, but definitely more so geared for that CQB style arena. Construction-wise, the gun is built for that type of play. It is primarily plastic, however, it's a fairly solid weapon. Biggest issue I've had is with the stock. A couple screws came loose, and you might have noticed it jerking around a little bit because I only have 1 screw holding it in. Battery space on this weapon is very limited for having a full stock. I'm very disappointed with it. I really wish you could house a bigger battery, but those spacers in that stock are glued on so tight they really don't want to come out. Magazine, fire selector switch, they're pretty much your standard AK stuff. Pretty simple. The magazine's kind of a cheapy plastic, but hey, it feeds rather well when in the gun. There's not much customization options for this AK, being as how it doesn't have that side rail mount. It only has that small little tactical rail in the front, but hey, like I said, you can still go ahead and customize it a little bit. The iron sights on the gun are decent to make up for the lack of the ability to put a scope on this replica. Again, really a beginner's gun. What I personally purchased this for was to use as a loner weapon at my fields, and overall, that's really all I have to say about it. It's a cool gun, but it's more so meant for the lower level of airsofters. So thanks for watching, guys. This has been Deathcore Airsoft's review of the CyberGun licensed Kalashnikov AK47 Beta Spets. Please subscribe, and I really do hope you liked the video.